Alright, one of the biggest surprises of fight week for UFC 286 was Colby Covington coming out of absolutely fucking nowhere, weighing in as a backup fighter, which I kind of just don't get. If Kamaru Usman wouldn't have been able to make that walk, I can kind of see Colby Covington. He's one guy who hasn't had a fight recently, so he's no injuries. He's available, ready to come in and weigh in. I could kind of understand him stepping in and being the backup fighter to fight Leon, but him being the backup fighter to fight Kamaru Usman would have been insane. The guy's already lost to him twice, and while those two were really great fights, it does kind of leave a bad taste in your mouth when you see certain guys getting special treatment over the rest of the division. As a huge fan of the sport myself, I have the utmost respect for everybody who has the heart to step into that cage, and it does kind of suck to see some guys put it all on the line time and time again, and having to rack off these 9, 10, 11 fight win streaks just to even get close to a title shot. We saw this before with Leon Edwards. The guy had to fight absolutely everybody in order to get his title shot. We're seeing it again right now with Beneil Dariush, who finally gets to fight Charles Oliveira, only now Charles doesn't even have the belt anymore. At the post-fight press conference, Dana White was adamant that Colby is going to be the next guy no matter what. Even if Masvidal is able to get the victory in Miami in April, Colby is the next guy. I've seen a lot of back and forth online about whether or not Colby is deserving of this title shot, but the answer is no. I think people are forgetting that a lot of the hype surrounding Colby right now is because of his two fights with Kamaru Usman, which definitely were great fights, but he lost both of them. Last time I checked, you don't exactly get closer to a title shot because you lost. He is coming off of a win off of Jorge Masvidal, but if we're being honest, Jorge is a perfect matchup for Colby. Jorge does not have great wrestling, and Colby's a wrestling dominant fighter. We already saw what happened. He wrestled him for 5 rounds, which as someone who's a fan of the sport, we can all appreciate every single martial art, but for the casual fan, that is just not an exciting style of fighting. Before that, and between his 2 previous title shots, he beat Tyron Woodley, which yes, is a former champion, but as we see now, Tyron was in the midst of what was eventually going to become a 6-fight losing streak. And then if you look before that, I mean, there's not a lot of impressive victories that he has. He's beaten Robbie Lawler years ago, and then he beat Dong Yu Kim. He also has a victory over Damian Maia, but at this point, we're talking about guys that aren't currently even ranked, and then guys like Damian Maia that are definitely on their way out. I know that the argument against what I'm saying is, what about Masvidal? Masvidal also has back-to-back losses from Kamaru Usman, in which he lost in even worse fashion than Colby. And then if you look before that, the only really impressive victories Masvidal has as of late is against Nate Diaz, who also is no longer in the UFC, and then Darren Till, who is also no longer in the UFC. And I'm not arguing that Masvidal does deserve the shot. Neither Colby nor Masvidal deserves this title shot, but Leon, as the champion, deserves the right to call out who he wants to call out. And let's not forget, Leon versus Masvidal is definitely a big money fight that Leon deserves. I don't think Colby is necessarily that far away from a title shot. I think he needs 1 or 2 victories. I mean, with a win over someone like Belal Muhammad, I think there's a good argument that Colby's right there and deserves a title shot. But at the end of the day, he's not fighting these guys, and I think I know why. Khamzat Chimaev said on his own personal YouTube channel that he has been offered the fight against Colby 4 times, has accepted it 4 times, and it never materialized, which can only mean one thing: Colby's ducking him. We've seen people like Israel Adesanya call out Yoel Romero for a title shot when Yoel didn't necessarily deserve it, but again, that's because the champion deserves the right to call out who they want to call out. We've also seen guys like Belal Muhammad with his very impressive win streak still not even in the conversation for a title shot. If you ask me, ducking other contenders and sitting out for an entire year refusing to take a fight isn't just erased because you were willing to come in and weigh in to be the backup fighter for Leon versus Usman. Colby also says that he had to cut 18 pounds last minute over the course of 1 or 2 days in order to make that weight, yet he's also the guy who says that he fights at his natural weight class. I think that it's pretty obvious that Colby doesn't deserve the title shot, but I think part of the play here is Colby, who plays the heel. He kind of wants to be the guy that walks in there undeservedly, where the whole crowd is against him, which would create a narrative in itself. Leon being a lot more of a fan favorite now, people understanding his story of how hard he had to work to get here, going up against Colby, who's basically getting gifted another title shot. Leon's already come out and said that he will not fight Colby Covington. There is a chance the UFC decides to give him a shit ton of money to make that fight happen. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think? Who do you think Leon should defend the belt against? And give me your honest opinion. Do you think Colby Covington is deserving of yet another title shot? Thanks for watching.